In this video, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to use free public domain images available on the internet to create your own colouring books to self-publish on the Amazon KDP platform and hopefully make sales and hopefully make money. So if you're interested in becoming a self-publisher, publishing books on Amazon, making money online by creating and selling books, then follow along as I show you how to make these types of books. Now, if you've not been to this channel before, then welcome. My name's Paul Marles and I do videos on how to make it, keep it and grow it. And that's your money I'm talking about. And if you do like videos like that, then please do give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and smash that notification bell to receive notification of when I produce more videos like this. Now, colouring books, they're extremely popular on Amazon and sell very well and make a lot of publishers good money. But one of the issues of creating colouring books is creating the interiors. That's the pages that people actually colour in. Now, this is obviously a lot easier if you're an artist and can create these yourself, but if not, you have to look at sort of trying to outsource the creation of these interiors or use other methods. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And I'm going to show you a particular type of colouring book where the images inside are related to famous artists. I'll show you an example. So if we go over to Amazon, I've just searched for Van Gogh colouring book, got 115 results, so not a huge amount of competition there. And we can see decent bestsellers ranks, which means these books sell very well. Now, if we have a look at this book in particular, we can see what the interior looks like. And we've got these pages here, which are basically images of Van Gogh's paintings converted into these black and white line drawings that people can then colour in. And as I've said, they're very popular. Here's some more examples. This is a book of Japanese prints. Now, this picture here is a famous print I'm sure many of you may have seen before by an artist called Hokusai. And if we just scroll down and have a look at the sort of images that are in here, this one's actually quite a fancy book because it's got colour images inside. But we can see we've got these black and white lined images again for people to colour in. And there you can see, if you just tilt your head, you can see there's another image there. And here's one of my favourites, and that's William Morris, because these are quite easy to create. In fact, these are one of the easier ones to create in terms of colouring books. And if we just have a look inside, I'll click on one of the pages and just enlarge that. And you can see again, it's not exactly black and white, so I hope you can see it, but we've got these black and white line drawings. So I'm going to show you how to create the interior of one of these and show you a really good way of creating a good looking cover for one of these books. Now, where do we get our images from? Well, this site here at rawpixel.com, they have these public domain images which are categorized by artist, if we scroll down here, or categorized by subject area, botanical, animals, artists, etc. So these are in the public domain. And if we go to Wikipedia, it says that public domain consists of creative work with no exclusive intellectual property rights. However, and this is my disclaimer, I'm not a copyright or trademark lawyer. So any image that you use from an online source, I suggest you check that you do have the correct licensing agreement for it. And that means doing your own due diligence. A lot of people do ask me for advice. Can I use this image? Can I use that image? I can't give advice on that. It's actually part of the business and it's part of something you must do yourself. When I get an image from a public domain site, and such sites can be things like Pixabay and Unsplash, I always run them through Google image search just to make sure that there's no evidence of any copyright or trademark on them. And in particular, to make sure they're not listed on sites like iStock or Big Stock Photo, that type of thing, where there's a license on a particular image. I always say, if in doubt, don't use it. And if in doubt, and it's an image you really want to use, then I suggest consulting a copyright or trademark lawyer. But this site says they're all public domain, and normally images that don't have a copyright were either created before there was copyright law, or the copyright has expired on them. So when you click on one of these images, and we'll go to this William Morris page here, you can see we've got this huge selection. Now these are particularly good images because there's not many colors in them and they have a good contrast, which makes for good black and white lined images for our coloring pages. And if we click on one of these here, we can see we've got our William Morris sort of pattern, and over on the right hand side there is information about the licensing. If we click on view license, that takes us to this Creative Commons page where it says no copyright. The person who associated work with this deed has dedicated the work to the public domain by waiving all of his or her rights to the worldwide whatever under copyright law. As I said, what I normally do, and I've done it in this case, is just take the image, go to Google image search and just put the image in there, and I've done that with this particular image, and we can see here there doesn't appear to be any of these images listed on any stock photo or stock image sites. So it looks like we're all good to go with this. In a bit, I will show you another very interesting website where you can get other public domain images from. But for the moment, we're going to download this particular image. Now, it says here re-download because I've downloaded it already, and I normally just choose the web size image. We don't want loads and loads of pixels to be dealing with. So I've downloaded that. Now, the next step is we've got to convert this from a raster image. Those are usually .png and .jpg images, and we need to turn it into a vector image, and that's a .ai or .eps or .svg file. Now, if you have software like Adobe Illustrator, you can do that with the image trace function. I've already done a video in the past where I've used that image trace function to create an image for a coloring book, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. So if you've got Adobe Illustrator, you can follow the method that I used in there. You can do image trace in Inkscape as well. Now, we'll also need vector editing software. Now, I'm going to be using Affinity Designer. You can use, as I mentioned, Inkscape, which is free, Gravit Designer. The basic version is free, or you can pay to get the Pro upgrade, or there's Vectornator. And that's another vector imaging software. Now, the issue with Affinity Designer, I mean, it's fantastic. It's probably one of the most versatile pieces of software for creating books, and it's a one-off payment. It's currently, I think it's around about the $50 or $60 mark. They were running a special offer where it was half price. I don't think that's the case anymore, but still at that price, it's well worth the money. The only issue is they don't have an image trace function, so we need to use third-party software. So we're going to use Vectorizer at vectorizer.io. Relatively inexpensive. For 10 credits, that means you can upload 10 images. It says here it's $2 Australian dollars 80, which is about $2 US. And that would be enough to do 10 images. You probably want to do it in a coloring book, probably have like 20 to 30 images. So it'd probably cost you $5 to $6 to do that, which I think is a good investment. When you open Vectorizer, all you need to do, you can see I've already done it here. You just drag in the image and upload it. It uploads automatically, and then it will convert the image, as we see here on the right-hand side, into a vector image. On the left is the raster image, on the right is the vector image. And you can do a lot of changes. Now, the only thing I suggest is just making sure you've got the photo option here, top left-hand corner, clicked on. Now, there's not many other changes you need to make. Now we can, from here, enlarge our image. What we want is an image that looks good, but with as few colors as possible. So depending on the type of image, you're going to need to experiment a little. And you can do this with the slider here by changing the number of colors, or over here on the left-hand side, just clicking on the number of colors. So you could just have an image with 2 colors, and you can see what we've got is something like this, which is ideal for what we want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and download that, and it will download it as a vector image, a .svg image. Now I'm just going to drag that across into Affinity Designer, and here we have the image. Now what we want to do is convert this into a black and white lined image. So I'm just going to draw a bounding box around the whole of this image. I'm going to go over to the Color tab, top right hand corner here, click on the Fill button, and again you're going to have the equivalent of this in Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator, and then I'm going to move this slider over to the right hand side, and you'll see our whole image disappears. That's because we've set the fill setting to white. Then we click on the stroke button or stroke box, and then click on the stroke tab, again top right hand corner. Now what we want to do is make our stroke appear, and so we're going to just use a slider to increase the width, and lo and behold, our image appears like so. And you can see already we've got something that looks good, that would be ideal for people to colour in. Now this probably is a little bit on the busy side. There's a lot compressed there onto the one page. So what we're going to do next is Command C or Control C to copy. Now I create all the interiors of my books, and I've done this for all of my books in Keynote or PowerPoint. Now some of the more traditionalists out there will say, oh, you can't possibly use that to create the interior of a book. You've got to use professional software like Adobe InDesign or Affinity Publisher. Well, that's nonsense. I've created all my books in Keynote and PowerPoint. That's the interiors, and they're selling very well and bringing in a nice income. And it's very simple to use, and it's very difficult to make any errors, and it's got a very small learning curve. So anyway, so we've copied this image. So we're going to go over to Keynote and Command V or Control V just to paste. Now, as I said, there's probably a lot there on one page. So all I'm going to do, just one corner, just drag this like so to make it bigger. And I think that would look perfect on our page. Now, this is going to be an 8.5 by 11 inch book. So this page actually has bleed. So the dimensions of the page would be, off the top of my head, 8.625 by 11.25. So that'll be our first page. Now we're going to go and create our second page. So if you go back to Affinity Designer, now I did download from Raw Pixel a couple of other images, and I'll show you what those were now. One was that image we saw on the cover of that book by Hokusai. Now I left this not as two colors, but a few different colors here, because you'll find that with some images, if you use too few colors, it'll just simplify the image too much and you just have a few lines and a massive white area. So again, you just need to experiment with this setting here. So, you know, the 24 colors, 12 colors, you just want to simplify it so that it doesn't look too complicated. And so for the same for this, left click on the mouse, drag a bounding box over the whole image, go to color, go to fill, move that over to white, ignore these lines here. I don't know why those appear, but that's okay. We'll soon change those. Click on our stroke button, click on the stroke tab, and then increase the stroke width like so. Now I don't know why that one is brown, but we'll change the color of that to black. A little rascal there, and there's another one there. So we'll just again change that to black like so. And there you can see again, we've got a good image that would be perfect for a coloring book. Now, before we send our image to PowerPoint, we're going to need to rotate this through 90 degrees. So we go to Layer, Transform, Rotate Left. Reduce the size of that. Don't worry about the way it looks at the moment. So just keep our bounding box around our whole image. Command C, Control C to copy. Go to Keynote and just paste. And we can adjust the size of it to fit our page like so. You don't need all of it on the page, but that would look pretty good. So that's our page number 2. So now we're going to go back to Affinity Designer. I'm going to drag in another image. Many of you may recognize this chap. It's Van Gogh. And again, you can see I've reduced the number of colors in Vectorizer. So again, same old process, bounding box, fill color to white, stroke, increase the width. You can see, again, that looks pretty good. Command C, Control C to copy, Keynote, third page, paste. And we can adjust the position of this and just the size like so. So now, just as an example here, we've got our 3 pages. Now you'll want to spend a bit more time than I've done here. I'm just doing this quick for the sake of this video. And you may want to just do a book of one particular artist like Van Gogh or William Morris, or you could do a book of I don't know, famous paintings. So now in Keynote, all we need to do is click on File, Export to PDF. I'll send this to my download folder and then we'll have a quick look at it. And we can see here, if I drag it into place, what it would look like. So this would be page 1 of our colouring book. We've got page 2 of our colouring book, page 3 of our colouring book. We'd do that for the number of pages we want in a book, 40 or whatever, 40 to 60. And then we'd upload that to the KDP platform as our book, as our PDF for the interior of the book. So now I said I'd mention one more site, and this is metmuseum.org, and this is the Metropolitan Museum in New York. They have an online site and they have public domain images. And you can see here on the home page, we've got this open access artworks, more than 375,000 high-res images of public domain works. So we click on that and you can do a search for a particular artist. So we'll put in Van Gogh, see what comes up. And you can see here, you've got these images here that we can use. Now some of these won't be suitable. I mean, like this one here, this one a bit dark, but certainly something like this may be suitable. And again, it's got the public domain bit there. It tells you that you can freely copy, modify and distribute this image even for commercial purposes. But I would still suggest checking on Google image search and doing your own due diligence, because you're ultimately responsible. And so you could download this image and then upload that to Vectorizer or load it into Adobe Illustrator and convert it into a vector like I've shown you, and then create the interior of your colouring book. Now, if this has sparked your interest and inspired you into creating colouring books, then I suggest watching this video next, where again I show you how to create the interiors for a colouring book to publish on KDP Amazon. I hope you found the video useful. Thank you very much for your time. It's very much appreciated. Do make sure you click the subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye.